there, book lovers and screen addicts. Welcome to Page to Screen and In Between, our show about books, our favorite books that made it to the screen, whether big or large.
And I'm Staci, and this is my partner in literary crime, Renee. And so we are here ready to tackle what the page to screen is the meat, but we also love the in between, the things that are just fascinating to us. And so we're gonna cover some of those things today too. So
We are. And you, Stacy, we try not to, it's not a your turn, my turn, but this week I do know you have something that has just, you really wanted to talk about. And I can't wait for you to say it. Go ahead and say it.
so it's so funny because a lot of people they say I hate Mondays.
Mhm.
I love Mondays. I love first. I love first of the month, first of the week, first of the year. I think about first day of school, first day of summer, first, of anything first has such a clean slate feeling.
Mhm.
So Mondays I love because it's like, okay, first of the week, what's gonna happen this week? What are we gonna do this week? How are we gonna, conquer this week, or what it's gonna be? So I love first, and
So,
yeah,
okay, so let me ask you this because you
yeah.
love Mondays, and I'm going to say hard disagree on that one. I Monday,
I know. I'm very weird. Like people
I
hate Mondays.
I like Monday afternoon because by then I'm okay.
Yeah,
That early morning Monday, ugh. So do you get the Sunday blues or at all?
the scaries, the Sunday
Yeah,
scaries,
the
I
Sunday
think is
scaries.
the new word. No, and of course, in this stage of life, I don't have a traditional job, so
Okay.
probably. But I remember, when I did. It hasn't been that long ago when I had. So even when I worked part time, after I had retired from my full time job, I could work any two, like I worked 20 hours a week, and I could split it up in each. My boss let me do whatever I wanted. Mondays, I was always like, I've got to work Mondays. Mondays are my work day. Coming in, the weekend had been there. What is it? Oh, there's so much backed up here. What are we going to do? I loved them. I love sunrises. People love
Okay.
sunsets, and I do.
Okay.
I'm a sunset girl. I like sunsets too.
Okay.
Sunrise, first thing in the morning before anything's happened, that pink, purple, blue sky, that red sky, that I just love it. I love the sunrise. And so I just think it's just like there's just something about that clean slate. I know.
Oh, okay. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I do have another question about that. Are you one of those you wake up and you're super ready to just go, or do you have a little bit? Oh, you are. You're nodding your head,
I'm
and
the
I'm
worst.
just like,
People
don't
hate
talk
me.
to me. I
Yeah.
need silence. Um, and like I'm Wednesday, hump day, Mike, guess what day it
Yeah,
is?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love Wednesdays because by then I've got it all going. I'm revved up. And even like with starting a new book, I hate the beginning. I love the plotting, I love digging in, and then I've got to start it. And
Yeah,
I love the middle. I guess I'm just a middle girl. I like the middle
you
of the
are.
week. I like
Yeah.
the middle of the book. I like the
The middle of the
middle
month.
of yes. So but you
Yeah.
know what? To each his own. That's
And
what that's
together, we need to find we need to
we need
find
to get
something
the
like the
thread.
end. We can
What
finish
those
the my
endings.
my little sister said to me, Stacy, you're a great starter. You start a lot of things. And that's why, like, this, it's so funny because people have asked how many podcasts are you going to do? And I'm like, I I love starting the podcast. I love starting a new book. I love starting a new book. So I don't know, like until you and I die, I don't know. Like we're
Yeah,
gonna
we're just gonna trudge along. Yeah.
and she was like, you're a good starter, but sometimes, you like I love starting a diet. I love a new diet. I love starting a
Mhm.
new program. I love I've really been working on the continuation of things and
See, and I can
making,
dig in and go chugga,
yeah,
chugga, 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 chugga. I'm a chugger, chug, chug,
yeah.
chug, a little journeyman. I can just keep going and going and going. So, yeah, we need to get that.
You draw from me, and
Yeah, we'll
we'll
just
find
keep
some.
going.
Yeah.
So on that note, do we want to go ahead and talk about what book we chose?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
okay, we chose Hidden Figures, and I would have to say this was the absolute largest departure from book to screen that we have done yet so
Yeah.
far.
Well, it's our first nonfiction.
Nonfiction,
It's
and
a
it's the
nonfiction.
American. It's about the American dream and the untold story of the Black women, and that basically the mathematicians, the Black women mathematicians that worked at Langley, so for the national government, and really helped us win the space race.
Yes.
And
And
yes,
who knew? I mean, I didn't know before I watched the movie. I mean, I watched the movie first and read the book second.
yep.
The
So the
book.
thing about the thing is, and before we get started into it, I just wanted to talk about how this book became a movie because I did some research on that.
Yes, you told me that. It was so interesting.
Yes. So a book, it came out in, what is it, June of 2016, and the movie
Yes.
hit the screens in September of 2016, which is unheard of. I mean, that is a very short lag time because we all know it takes forever to make a movie, it takes forever to write
Right,
a book.
right.
But usually what happens is they have people within publishing houses that sell just the movie rights, so they call it
Okay.
optioning it
Okay.
for a movie. And what happened with Hidden Figures is that it got optioned when it was still in its rough draft form, and
Mm,
then it got picked up and optioned. So I and it also, once a book is optioned, that doesn't even mean it's going to go to become an actual film or screen version. It could just wallow in limbo forever. But it was almost like this was lightning in a bottle. All of everything came together. It was optioned. They figured out, they had somebody write the screenplay. It was figured out.
yeah.
They went straight to the actual filming. And then probably what happened, and I don't know for sure, but probably what happened was the publishers of this book decided to hold the release so that it did come out near the same time as the
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
but first, so it would get people excited about it because this became a #1 New York Times bestseller. I'm not sure that it would have without that movie.
Right.
And the movie was amazing. Like I said, a complete departure. And this book was written by Margot Lee Shutterly, who did her research and
Oh,
beyond.
yes. And do you think that do you think that they had some confidence because it wasn't fiction? Because it was
Yes.
nonfiction, like they kind of had confidence that, she wasn't going to change the story because the story is the story. It happened.
Hmm.
It was
Yep.
nonfiction. And so maybe they had a little more confidence in it. Like these are the facts. And her research, yes, I was like,
It's a scholarly book. It is an
it's very
academic
scholarly. It
book.
has so much information, and it has so much information on different things, on the
Yes.
racial conflict, on the space program, on the math specifics, like
Hmm.
how I'm amazed at these women, at these
Oh,
people in general. Like, I knew that astronauts were, or that space, flight and that kind of thing was math and physics. I knew,
mm.
but I had no idea. Like, it is literally just calculated here, and then they put it into
The
practice.
analytical geometry, the
Yes,
engineering, which is also, I know, all math. And
yes,
yeah, and so what I kind of wanted to talk about real quick was my key differences between the book and the movie.
okay,
And I would say the biggest difference is the scope. So the book
yes,
covered 3 decades and dozens of women. The
yes,
movie was squunched very, very small into the early 60s, what,
yes.
two,
It
three
started out in
years,
the 60s.
and highlighted three of the many, many figures that were included in the book. And
Yes,
so that was the first one, was sort of the scope. And then I would say the other thing was that this fictional composite of characters, instead of showing systemic racism, which was truly what happened,
Yeah.
throughout World War II, because the book started during World War II and
Yes.
went all the way through, well, really the shuttle, the space
Right.
shuttle.
Right.
And so we're talking way into the 80s and 90s. But those fictionalized characters, the Kirsten Dunst, her character was a composite. There was no person in the book, no one person, Vivian.
Right.
Then
Right.
there was the Paul character, the engineer
Yes.
that Catherine had to deal with. He was also a composite, again, of sort of that male white racism and privilege. You
Yes.
remember how they would redact in the movie
Oh, yes,
information
they and you're
and
not qualified,
told her
or
to
you're
check
not
the math without
clear.
knowing all the figures and how
Yeah.
frustrating that had to be. And then actually the Kevin Costner character, his
Yeah.
was also a composite. So that
Of
was
all the
another
bosses.
difference.
Yeah.
Yes, that was another difference. And then just the general tone. Those were my three things that really stuck out.
The
Again, the
tone of the
book
book
was
or the
so, both of them, the book was so scholarly and
Yes.
academic and very much just the facts, man, very much reporting the story. And
Right.
then the book had a quite an inspirational, uplifting feel, very
The movie.
dramatized.
The movie
The
was.
the movie, yes. And so take the bathroom scene.
Yeah.
So powerful in the movie. And it never happened in the book. It was, I think she talked a little bit about the bathrooms and the segregation,
Yeah.
but in the movie, it became, even Pharrell's song that he's singing as she's running back and forth in
Yes.
the rain.
Yeah, it didn't happen to Catherine. There was a tiny, tiny bit of it, but it was happening to, I
I think it
think,
was Mary. Was
Mary.
it Mary?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the Mary. Just a bit though. It was like one little paragraph
Hmm.
that, okay, there was
That
no
she,
place to go to the bathroom. There was nothing marked, so she went to the ones that weren't marked.
right,
I mean, that was
right.
that's literally like how it was stated. Where in the movie it was this dramatic scene of her in the rain carrying her books with her high heels and her hair gets, like it was like this
That
dramatic.
400-yard
Why is
dash.
this
Yeah.
happening? Why is it, and then she makes this big statement to Kevin Costner, how I had to go to the bathroom, and yeah, it was
And then
very
he
dramatic.
makes the statement of, he takes the
Not in the time.
sledgehammer and he just, yeah, was it the colored bathrooms? He's like, everyone pees the same color.
Yeah, yeah.
His line.
And this is it.
So
We're
there's
done.
not going to be segregated bathrooms in NASA.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah. And I don't think the
wonderful.
coffee pot scene,
Mm-mm.
that's nowhere. So maybe the feel,
Mm-hmm.
the
Against
feel of
system.
the atmosphere, that's what the coffee pot scene gave us. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that scene ever actually happened. But
Right.
um, but yeah,
Probably could have easily, because
yeah,
the one thing in the book that didn't occur in the movie was the table tent that they had at the lunchroom, and
yeah,
it said colored people
yeah. And she
or
kept
colored people
stealing it.
colored table, and she kept taking, and that was a character that never even showed up in the movie.
No,
She kept taking it off and sticking it in her purse, and kept taking it off and sticking, and every day there'd be a new sign on
yeah,
the table until finally the sign just kept showing up. And they still sat there and they still decided to sit together. But now it was like this huge sigh when they sat down and the table tent wasn't there.
yeah,
They were able to go, okay, we can finally just eat in peace and
yeah.
not be faced with racism,
Right.
at this 1 hour.
Do you think that that character, that's kind of sassy character that was stealing the sign, was also kind of that composite, a little bit of a composite character for Mary?
Yeah, I think
Mary
so,
was very
because
sassy, and remember,
I think her name was Mary in the book, but it was a different Mary.
it was a different Mary, but I
Hmm.
feel like they kind of joined those two Marys into that
Hmm.
character, that sassy character, but then she got to, do the engineering program or whatever. Because Octavia Spencer, who was, I'll get into that a little bit. She was fabulous. She said at the very beginning of the movie, your mouth is going to get us in trouble. Like, and so,
Gonna
and
get
I
us
think,
arrested.
I
Yeah.
don't know that it was, one. I think it was that sassy one that they kind of did a composite too, of
Well, and
that.
I think putting them in the car and driving into work together, that was also very much a Hollywood decision. That was
Yeah,
not anything that I
It
read in the
never
book.
it
I didn't.
yeah, they rode to work with Catherine rode to work with a white gal. In the epilogue, they
Yes,
said
yeah,
she
in
wrote
the epilogue, yeah, yeah.
um one of the things that I really liked, and I highlighted it here, the family the family dynamics. I feel like in the movie it was downplayed, even though they had their church gatherings, they had their the mom helped with the girls, that thing. But in the book, like this quote or this part of the book was so great. It was surrounded by grandparents and dozens of aunts and uncles and cousins in a community where neighbors counted as family, pitching in when relatives couldn't. Dorothy's children's lives would change very little.
Right.
So they were accustomed to their mother's long work days and their father's extended absence. They missed Dorothy, but her departure didn't interrupt their high-spirited lives, replete with family, friends, and school. It was like they were brought up in that surrounding, in that
The community. The
we do
community.
not have in the white world. And I only know what I know. We had it when we were younger, and I don't know about you, but there was more when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
When I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up, there was more of that family community thing because I've lived in a small town. But it wasn't the same. It's not the same now, for sure.
No. Mm-hmm.
It's definitely you take care of your own. There's daycare. There's more like daycare than community care. But I do know other cultures,
Mm-hmm.
like the Vietnamese culture that's here. Our neighbors, when she had her baby, she literally goes and lived with her sister for a month across
Yep.
the street.
Yep.
They lived next door to you. So they
Oh
were on
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
street,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and T
Yeah, I
went
remember
and
that.
lived next door to you, where your neighbors, and
Yep.
she lived there for a month.
Yeah.
And they
She
took
owned the
care of
yeah.
her, they cooked it and everything. And it was like, I said,
And
"What
it
are you
was not
doing?"
even yeah, it wasn't even considered weird. I mean, it was just
No, that's what they do.
we would
And
say, "I don't want my mother in my home for a month." Like,
yeah,
I'm
I
sure
don't
my
wanna
daughter
be
would
in
say
my
that.
home.
"I don't
Yeah,
want Mimi
I
in my"
don't
yeah,
wanna be in my home. You can
yeah.
come and stay for, we're kinda doing that now a little bit, but we don't live there. We have our own space, but, it I think because my daughter-in-law is in the Hispanic world, she's
Mhm.
Hispanic, it is part of their culture.
More community,
To take
more
care
community,
of
yeah.
their mothers, to take care of this. So it's a little bit
Mhm.
different culture, but it's yeah. I think there are some younger kids, my daughter included, that
Oh, yeah.
long for that
Mine
kind of
too.
community. Yeah,
Yep.
and yours too. Yours definitely has some of that and where
Mhm.
she's at. And but it's very you have to intentionally look for it. And
Well,
this
and I have a
outlet
HR
given.
manager. Yeah, I have an HR manager. She's in her early 20s. She still lives at home, has never moved out, has always lived at home. She's Asian. And there are definitely white people in my store that think it's weird
Yeah,
that she's never lived out on her own. She still lives at home. She only
yeah,
just learned how to drive. Um, and and I feel as though like they drove her to work. She could only come in at noon, 12 to 9 because one of them worked and couldn't get her to get
yeah,
to work, not school.
yeah, yeah.
And there's so many people that consider that strange. They don't understand it. And I'm trying to look at it as, and I'm going to put myself in that because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to put
It's
myself
what
right
we
there.
know. It's what we
Yeah. It's
know.
what we know. And
Mhm.
it's not right or wrong. It's just different. And I'm trying so hard to look at it through a different lens because my lens
Yes.
is, they're babying her.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but I
But
wouldn't
you're
have
being a learn it all. You're being a
being
learn it
learned.
all.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yes.
Yeah. So you're
But
being
it
a learn
is
it all.
sort of
And so
it's easy to be judgy and not understand another culture. And the one thing that I loved about the book and loved and cringed and hated all at the same time was how racist our country is
in
and
general.
in
Yeah.
general and how far we still have to go.
Yes.
how we don't really understand it, because there are so many people, and I can say this because I'm white, so many white people that their privilege doesn't even understand racism in the way that my black friends have had to live their
Yeah.
whole, and it's generational for them, and it
And
is
there's just that
systemic.
air. There's that air of we know best for you.
Parental,
We
very
know
much
what
a
is best
parental.
for you. And it's like,
Hmm.
we don't know crap. I mean, we don't know. We have no idea. I don't want somebody telling me what that they know best for me.
Yeah.
So why would we come in and say we know what's best for you? So here's what we're gonna do. Um,
Right. And in the
yeah,
book and the movie, several times, and I think it was Dorothy that said it several times in the movie, is that we as black women, imagine being a black woman in a white male world. Because
yeah,
that was a white male world. You didn't see
yes,
a lot of white women either that weren't
no,
secretaries.
yes,
And so what she kept saying is, we're black women, we have to be smarter, we have to work harder and
yes,
be better
yeah,
than every other person in the
yes,
room. They did have to be the smartest person in the room. They had to be better. And
yes,
that was really evident as I was reading this book and understanding it on such a lesser level as a white woman. My master's degree was in a very male dominated field. I was the
mhm,
only I was the only female
yeah,
in the program. And understanding just on a tiny, tiny, tiny piece what they endured and not even still really understanding it. And I was telling my husband, I was saying, okay, so imagine at this time going in for a job interview, white male, white woman, white male's going to get it. Now imagine white male, black woman, white male's going to get it. Now
nope,
imagine white male, black woman in a wheelchair.
yeah,
She's not even going to get the interview.
right,
And so
yeah,
that brought it home to me, was how we will never truly understand because we've never walked in
yeah.
those shoes. So you have
Um,
something you wanted to say?
I do have something I want to say that because it goes back to what you said, and I had it here. So, one of the quotes that she was talking about their ideals, their list of ideals, and it said education topped her list of ideals. It was the surest hedge against a world that would require more of her children than white children and attempt to give them less in return.
Yeah, that sums it
So,
up.
so more
Sums
required but less in return. Like, and I think to myself, I I mean, our we have two very well we have very high achieving children, you and
Mhm.
I. That they're it's just they want more, they want more, they want more. I don't know if that's we instilled that. I don't know if I don't know, just the people we put them around each other, whatever
Right,
instilled
right.
them. But I feel like when they do want more, they get more.
Yes.
Where here she's saying they need to want more in order to even get half. And
Right.
that
Get in the
blows my
room. They
mind.
don't have a seat at the table. They can
Yes,
just get into the room.
that blows my
And
mind.
our white daughters, they want it. They don't only get into the room, they push and elbow a little bit, they're at the table.
Yes.
And it is.
And it's not easy. I'm not saying that their lives
Mhm.
are easy or to get those things are easy, but the results I feel like they get are more.
And that's privilege. And that's,
Right. Right.
I think so many people don't understand when someone says you're white privilege. They don't understand what that means. And the first thing someone will say that's white when you use the word white privilege with them, I worked hard for
Yes.
everything I have.
Yes.
And it's still true. It's
It's
true.
true. Yes.
However, if any person of color that wanted where you are would have to have had to work
Twice
3
as hard.
times harder,
Right. To
much
get
harder,
to get to
to
get
get
even
right,
half
to
of
get
what you
half
have.
of what you have.
Right.
And that's not understanding. So when somebody responds like that, it's not understanding the white privilege. Or when somebody says, I'm not racist. Yeah, you are, because we all are.
Yeah.
It's baked into our DNA,
Yeah.
and it's the ones that understand that we are and trying to walk away from it, and even just understanding it and acknowledging it. I think you and I talked about how white people, when we have these conversations with people of color, we want them to build the bridge and then come over the bridge to sit at the
To
table
help us understand.
to help us understand, and then also bring a tissue because this is going to be a hard conversation for me.
Right. Right.
And not even understanding that that's how we want it.
Yes. Well,
So,
and I think I mean, I don't know if this is a conversation, it's not fun. It's not really a
mhm.
fun conversation, and we like to keep things fun. But when you're saying, when people say I'm not racist, what they want to say is I'm not hateful. I'm not
Right.
hateful. But just the things that I've been raised with, the different the different things that I've seen, the different those are just things that are in me that I have to fight against in order to not.
And it's on us to educate
Yeah, it's
ourselves.
on
It's
us
not
to do that,
on
not on
people
them
of
to
color to
change.
educate
Yeah,
us. Right.
right, right.
So
And so, yeah.
read books written like
Yes,
this one and
yes.
understand on a level that we could never understand. And
Uh,
there was a section, I think it was early on with Dorothy, and her having to leave her children in order to take a job that was, what was it? She had to move to Langley. She had to move
yeah,
to
yeah.
Hampton, and she had to leave her children where they were. And the saddest part was to take that job as a computer. That's what they called them. They were
Uh-huh.
mathematicians. They were people, human computers. She would make less money than the janitors in the room at the
Right.
building.
Oh, when
But
she was this teacher,
yes, when
when
she
she
was a
was a
teacher,
teacher, she was
she
making
made
less
less
money than the white
money
janitors.
than the white janitors,
Yeah.
and she was going to make less. And in order to get, they had black women working as laundresses during World War II at the bases, at the army base. And in order to become a computer and a mathematician, she would be paid less than the
Mm,
laundress, the women in the
yeah,
laundry.
yeah.
And so she has this college degree. She's educated. She's been educating children, and she takes a pay cut in order to understanding that that is the step to get her into a better place. And
Yes.
they all loved math. That was the other
Right,
thing. They
right,
just
which I can't
loved.
yeah.
Me either. Nope. I was good
Like
at
they
math, but I didn't love it. I was good
yeah,
at it because I liked it because 1 + 1 = 2 all the time. It
yes,
never changes. And I could also see, if you know the formula, you plug in the numbers, you get the answer. And so there's something very concrete and comforting in
yeah,
numbers. They don't
yeah.
change. And so I can see why people love it, but not me.
See, and I
No.
tried in my life to have formulas.
Hmm.
If I do the if I do A, B will happen, all this. And when I would do something and B didn't happen, then I'd get all like, wait, that I did the formula. I did the
Yeah.
formula. What's going on? Jerry, my brother, my husband said, Keanu Reeves said a statement when he's talking about somebody who he loves, but he disagrees with. But he said, if they say 1 + 1 = 5, I say, okay,
Nice.
okay. You know what? More power to like if he completely it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't, but if it makes sense to them, okay. Like I'm not
Yep.
going to
I
convince
had,
them that. And so there are so many times where we'll be watching something or we'll be doing, and we'll kind of be getting heated. And I go, Jer, 1 + 1 = 5. And he's like, okay, okay. Like
okay.
we don't get it. We don't understand how they're coming up with it. But you know what?
1 + 1
Who am
=
I to
5.
say that their
Love
formula
Keanu.
doesn't make sense in their head? That's where math here was their solid, there was no color, there was no gray lines, it was black and white, like it
Right.
was it was
Right.
their true north, like they could really count on that. I just never understood how they had time, these hours that they were like, but when I read that part about the
The
community helping,
community.
she would get home and probably just drop to bed and then get up the next morning, and she just loved it. She
Yeah,
loved
they
math.
showed, I think it was Catherine, they showed that in the movie where she went in and the girls were, her daughters were supposed to be asleep and she heard them,
Yeah, fighting over the bed.
arguing, and she went in, and that was a beautiful scene. And it showed that those daughters weren't whining and making her feel guilty that she has to go work.
No.
They were drawing pictures of her in the spaceship. They
Yeah.
understood that this is what you have to do, and this is what mama does, and we
Yeah.
are going to be proud of her. And it
Yes.
made her, I mean, it was such a beautiful scene. And to me, that was also a look into that kind of community and lifestyle, and they're just not going to get away with being whiners and complainers,
Right.
because it had to be done. There
Right.
was no I'm choosing to work. It was, I have to work. I am blessed because I get to work in a field that I love.
Yes.
And she was going to put men on the moon and put them into space. And
Mhm.
I would say that is you can't talk about this book without talking about racism. You can't talk about the movie without talking about racism. But you can understand how brilliant these women are and
And the
were.
writer of the book, Margot. I mean,
Oh,
Margot, she's brilliant.
yeah, Margot Lee Shetterly. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, with her, so she's brilliant writing
And she
about
grew up
brilliant women.
around them. I think because I read something about
Oh,
the
she
reason
did.
she wrote the book was that she grew up in that town outside of Langley and
Mm,
knew some of them as a child, like knew them and knew
okay,
of them and knew them.
yeah, I think she
Maybe
knew
through the church, whatever it was.
probably Dorothy Vaughn's son, I
Mhm.
think she
Yeah.
knew. Yeah.
And became
Um,
an academic herself and decided to tell this amazing story. And
good. Yeah, it's
yeah,
good.
yeah. Okay. Well, there's so much to unpack, but this is one of my favorite times. Hold on. We're going to talk about which is best, the screen or the page.
She's best. So before we talk about that, I
Okay.
just wanted to say it was nominated, the screen was nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Writing, which are really three major categories. They didn't win, but it got nominated, which was really cool.
Was it Octavia Spencer that was
Yeah, yeah.
nominated? Okay.
She was.
Should have been Taraji P. Henson because she was
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, she was so great.
They all were good.
But so that leads me to I'm Screen. I think the screen was just more touchy feely for me, was more,
Mhm.
just gave me a better picture without getting into all the details of the facts like the book did. I love the book. I love that it gave me the facts, but the movie just was like, I mean, just kind of buttoned it all up for me. So I'm Screen.
Your screen, your
Yeah.
screen. I agree. I'm screen as well. I feel like when you fictionalize a story, I think you talked about this before we went live, about how the creative license was a little bit larger because we weren't the movie was not rewriting her book. It
Right.
was taking it and embellishing it, if you will, and
Right.
zeroing in on one small moment in these women's lives.
Right.
And I loved at the end of the movie where they showed the real people and
Yeah.
who they were
You
modeled
said
after.
the book has all the pictures in it. I
Yes.
love
And
that.
yeah, there's a picture, and I think I'm looking it up. But it starts with when they were working as computers during World War II and trying to make the airplanes because they were involved in hitting Mach 1 for breaking the sound.
The sound
These
barrier.
women
Okay.
were involved in breaking the sound barrier. I think it was Dorothy was involved in that.
Crazy.
But there's a picture of the computers. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
And it reminds me of when in the movie when the astronauts, the
They
directors
came to meet them. Yeah.
didn't want them to meet them, and John Glenn and then all the others followed. We're like, no, no, no. Who are these wonderful people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it was good. and I did. I loved the John Glenn character. That guy he's just cocky. That actor, he's just he's
Glenn
cocky.
Powell.
Yes,
Glenn Powell.
he's
He can't
cocky in
he can't walk.
everything.
He can't, no matter what he's playing, he
The
can't not.
smirk.
I know, but I
I
think
said to
he's
Jerry, it's
probably
that
a super nice guy. I think
he
he's a nice
is.
guy.
I'm
He
sure he
was
is.
the
But
host of Saturday Night Live this Saturday. Okay,
oh,
so
he
this is
was. Oh,
really digging deep. He was the host of Saturday Night Live, and Mark still watches it every religiously. And
yeah.
so I actually was up and watched it, and
Funny.
and this is so funny. He was gonna, when he was in Maverick, and he was gonna host Saturday Night Live, but it was during the pandemic. And then so they said, so they withheld the release of Maverick, remember? Because it was supposed to come out and then they withheld it. So Lauren Michaels called him and said, yeah, no, you're not gonna host because nobody's gonna know who you are. And so then he finally, since then, this was his first opportunity to be on there again. Way back when he got the first call, he was so excited. And the UPS truck, it was during the holidays, the UPS driver came to deliver a package, and they're all excited. His whole family's there. And they get this picture with the UPS driver because he's celebrating with them, right? So he's so excited. So he shows the picture at Saturday Night Live. And so then he goes, and he said, it just feels like really full circle. So I bought an airplane ticket for the UPS driver. We tracked him down, and he brings him up on stage with him
That is so
5 years later.
cute.
And
That's
I
so
think
fun.
that's who he is. And he has all of his parents. His parents show up in all of his movies. He makes sure no matter what role he's playing, that they get a cameo in the
Oh, that is
movie.
fun. That is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good info. Yeah.
So he's not as cocky as he comes off. I think it's
No, I
just,
said it's the smirk.
it
It's the
is.
smirk that
It's the
he just
smirk.
gives that smirk like, I know.
And he's so buff, and I
Yes,
think it's just the
yes.
way he stands when you're
Cute.
that buff,
Yeah,
how can you not stand cocky?
yeah. But it was good. And that was in the book that John
Yeah,
Glenn did ask
did go over.
for
Mhm.
her to go over the numbers. So that was a good scene. And then the book kind of clarified that scene did happen. He
Yeah,
was like, hey, if she says it's good, we're good.
yeah,
And
and I'm good to go. Yeah,
yeah, so that was
yeah.
that was good. But I
Okay.
love it. I love I
All
loved
right.
I loved it. Should we say the sneak peek for our next
Sure.
time? Is it
Yep, we're
2 weeks from
excited.
now?
This is one of your favorite movies.
My
Have you
favorite
read the book
movie.
before?
I have not. I just got it on my Kindle, so I'm super
Okay.
excited. I'm going to take it on my vacay and read
Okay.
it on the beach. You want to say it? You want to do it?
No, you say it.
It's Joy Luck Club, the Joy Luck Club.
Yay!
So yes,
Yay!
we are super super excited. I love stories within a story. I love those kind of movies. And so this one, again, I watched it years and years ago when it very first came out. I remember watching it maybe I rented it from Blockbuster, I think.
Ooh,
And watched it. And so yeah, that's how far back it was. But yeah, I'm excited to read the book
an
and then
oldie
we'll
but a
watch
goodie.
yeah, yeah. So we're gonna do Joy Luck Club, and there's yeah,
Yay!
there's a lot of reasons why we picked it, and we'll go over that when we do it.
Yeah, we'll do that in 2 weeks.
Yes,
So remember everybody to like, follow, share, subscribe.
yes.
And we are about to leave, but Stacy has a last word.
I do have the last word, and I talked about it before. My
You
last
touched
word
on it.
is being a learn-it-all, not a know-it-all. For years, I kind of prided myself in knowing everything and knowing the room, knowing what was happening and everything. And some of my formulas got messed up because things went awry. And so I've become a learn-it-all.
I love it.
Whenever I walk in a room, you said one time, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to switch rooms.
Hmm.
Or yeah, and so I'm really trying to walk into rooms where I don't know things, and that I'm learning every day. So
I
be
love
a
that.
learn it all. Look and see what you can find today, and learn something new, and do that. So that's my last word.
All right. I think that's an excellent way to end the show. Thank you for
Yes.
being with us, and thanks for watching and listening. And
Yeah.
we will see you in 2